quarter, but it's all Memphis in the fourth, just as it was all Memphis in the first. And it turns out to be a blowout victory for the Grizzlies in a game where the Warriors never had the lead. 131-110 is the final. As we welcome you inside Warriors wrap-up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you here for the next hour or so on the game. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here as the Warriors go 0-3 on the road trip after the 5-0 homestand. So the Warriors, for the first time all year, able to get to 4 games over 500. They worked hard and scratched and clawed their way on the homestand to get to that point. Suddenly in control of their own destiny for the 5th seed in the Western Conference, and they go on the road, and it is just as ugly as it's been at any point all season with the 3 consecutive losses. Now the third one to the Grizzlies, who were playing without multiple starters in this one, including Ja Morant, no Steven Adams for the Grizzlies, and it didn't even matter. And I rarely say this, but this was a gutless effort tonight for the Warriors. It really was. You give up 48 points to a team starting Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, Xavier Tillman, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Dylan Brooks, and that's just a joke. As a defending champion, as a team that's trying to claw their way to a play-in scenario or avoid the play-in to get to a top 6 spot, it really doesn't matter any way you slice it. But to chase the 40-point defensive effort against OKC the other night after a couple of days spent just flat out talking about how the defense has to be better, and then to allow 48 on top of the 40 after the 33-18 first quarter in Los Angeles. And this Warriors team just has no answer right now at all for any of the things that have plagued them throughout the entirety of this regular season. And so it is 8 consecutive games now for the Warriors dropped on the road, and now 34-33 after the 5-game home winning streak. It's back to 1 game over 500. The next 2 are back at Chase, which is the good news. The bad news is, though, the next 5 after that, and 8 still of the remaining 15 are on the road for the Warriors. And you're playing the Bucks and the Suns, 2 of the best teams in the NBA, these next 2. And so the Warriors wind up now tied for 6th at the close of business tonight. Sacramento's playing the Knicks. That's the lone game still on the schedule tonight. Kings off to an early lead in that one over the Knicks, that game in Sacramento. But you can forget about catching the Kings if you're the Warriors. So at this point, that game is irrelevant to them because the Warriors find themselves in this mix now with the Clippers, who passed them tonight at 35-33. Minnesota and Dallas both have the exact same record as the Warriors, 34-33. So that 6, 7, 8 all tied with the Warriors currently having the tiebreaker over both. And so they would take the 6th spot if the season ended today. But now you're closer to being out completely of the playoffs than you are to be in, say, 4th at this point. You're tied for 6th. You could move up to 5th with just a half-game separation, but you're also 2 games from being completely out. So it is a dangerous, dangerous game that the Warriors have played throughout the entirety of this season, and now with 15 games to go and the inability to stabilize at all on the road has just left this team. I mean, 8 games to go on the road, and it's gotten to the point, not just with the result as far as I'm concerned, but it's gotten to the point where you look at just the way that this team has played, how non-competitive they've been defensively. And with 8 games to go, I start to look around at the schedule and the 8 games they have left, and I start thinking to myself, how many of these games are they even capable of winning at this point? I mean, we're almost to the middle of March here in the next couple of days, and by the next time the Warriors are back on the road coming up on Wednesday after the next 2 games at home, how many of these 8 are even realistic to expect them to win when you're 7-26 away from Chase Center with the 8 games to go, and the only teams worse than you in the NBA on the road are San Antonio and Houston. Even Detroit, who got beat tonight, 7-26. The Warriors, 7-26. I mean, you have the same road record as the Detroit Pistons at 15-52, and the Spurs and Rockets, who are two teams also tanking for Victor Wembanyama. I mean, it is ugly, ugly stuff. And I'm looking at, how are you going to go beat the Clippers on the road? How are you going to go beat Atlanta on the road? How are you going to go beat Dallas on the road? How are you going to go beat Sacramento on the road here? How are you going to go back in 9 nights and beat Memphis when you have to play them for a second time here in a short period of time at FedEx Forum? I mean, Houston, is Houston the only road game that you can pencil in as maybe a win, because the Rockets are right there among the bottom of the NBA at 15-51 and the bottom of the Western Conference? I mean, I'm almost at a loss, and I've stuck up for this team this season, and I've given them the benefit of the doubt through the injuries really that have plagued them the last couple of months and the home road splits. But tonight was it was pathetic. And it's not like the Grizzlies were running their full complement of players out there either. That team had been in shambles, although they've been, like the Warriors, very good at home. And just a really, 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 really poor, disgusting, kind of gutless. I mean, this is the low-level effort that, unfortunately, we see too often league-wide. But for us in the Bay Area, we've been lucky that we haven't seen it a lot by comparison. We've seen it a lot this year with this team on the road, flat out. And it's hamstringing the Warriors' opportunity here to be taken seriously as we start to look toward them fighting their way to try and even make the playoffs, let alone win a round or multiple rounds or get to an NBA final. So 888-957-9570. Hardest working player of the game is coming up. Secret sauce of the game is coming up as well. But tonight is a night for Warrior fans to get on the phone lines and to let her rip a little bit and get some of the frustration out if you so choose. And we got a lot of people that are already lined up on the board here at 888-957-9570, Xfinity mobile text line as well. And we'll get it rolling here. Let's start with Mike in Los Angeles getting us tipped off here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What's going on tonight, Mike?
I wish it could be much better. I've had better days. Long-time Warriors fan. Well, actually, since this 2015, since they started winning, they really play team basketball. But I just want to say, it seems like they're playing, with their hair on fire. I don't understand for the life of me when the defensive team or the offensive team scores on the Warriors. Why are they so eager to take the ball inbounds out so in a hurry, and they usually turn it over under their basket? That's number one. I remember one time Greg Popovich took the whole starters out, including Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, like 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds into the game, and to send a message because they blew one assignment. And it just starts with the leader of this team, which is Steve Kerr, and he hasn't shown me anything. I don't know if he's lost the touch with these guys. It's a different day and age than it was 10, 15 years ago. But, man, this is just absolutely pathetic. These turnovers, I always look at two things every game: free throw attempts in a game and turnovers. And the Warriors have been at the bottom of all of those. They lead the league in turnovers, and they get the fewest. I believe they're in the bottom 5 as far as free throw attempts. So this is just embarrassing. I'm a big-time Warriors fan. I'm in L.A. I have a season pass. I've been watching every game. All my brothers are Laker fans. And I'm just very, very frustrated. I think they'd be better off just if they just tank the rest of the season.
Thanks, Mike. Well, appreciate the call. You're not going to tank when you're still the 6th seed in the West, and that would get you a playoff series, and you have Steph Curry, who is working his way back into form, but still looks to be at the height of his power. So that's not going to happen. Tanking is off the table with 15 games to go when you're the 6th seed. So I don't want to hear anything about tanking here as it pertains to the Warriors. As far as the free throw shooting, I'll address that one real quickly. The Warriors are a 3-point shooting, jump shooting team, and they've shown in the playoffs they can get to the free throw line at different points of playoff series enough to be able to balance it out in playoff series, but in the regular season, it's just not going to happen. This is a jump shooting team that doesn't get to the line. there were points tonight where getting to the line actually looked like it was going to save them, or at least kept them hanging around in a game where often it felt like they should be down 25 and the margin was anywhere between, say, 7 and about 12 to 14. And the Warriors ended up tonight 23 of 24 at the free throw line. As far as the turnovers go, and that really was the story of this one, once you start to dig deep into the 48-28 was just abysmal to begin the game, but then the Warriors come out 21-7 to start the second quarter, and they pull within 6 at 55-49, and right before the half, they went from 20 to within 4 in the final 4 minutes or so of the half, but Grizzlies closed the half on a 20-6 run. There were 4 consecutive turnovers for the Warriors. Jordan Poole missed a layup with about 4 minutes left. The Warriors had a shot to cut it to 2, and then it was all Memphis going the other way to be down 18. And these were just some of the ugliest, most unforced turnovers you will ever see. And this team just looks so disconnected on the road, so just, so many bad shots that act as turnovers, so many just listless, lifeless defensive possessions in addition to that, and it's just too much to overcome for this team at this point. And I think they've been so dependent on their ability to coast through extended periods during their dominant run that they just aren't good enough or deep enough or talented enough at this point, top to bottom, to make up for those extended stretches of just ugly play. And so it's doing them in here on a night in, night out basis. And as far as, looking at the leadership and all of that, I have a hard time putting tonight on Steph, but I think you could, and I don't put tonight on Steph. He was a +2 and scored 20. I think Steph did everything he could, but Jordan Poole was bad. Klay Thompson was awful. Dante DiVincenzo was brutal. Like at some point, like I don't necessarily think it's about the coaching. It's more about the players and not the role players. It's not the Ty Jeromes. It's not the JaMychal Greens. It's not the Patrick Baldwins. Look at the headliner players when your team doesn't do well. And I'm throwing Steph out. I think Steph was fine tonight, but Jordan Poole just awful, just brutal defensively. Olay defense, just no rotation. Him and DiVincenzo, a couple of times, just no communication at all in a pick and roll, and neither guy guards the ball as it turns into I think it was a Tyus Jones layup. I mean, just ugly stuff. But this isn't about the minutia. When this team loses in the fashion that they lost tonight, in the fashion they've lost these last 3 games, it is on the premier players. Look at the top of the roster and not at the bottom of the roster. Look at the guys with the champion's blood and what they're bringing to the table, and if they're competing hard enough and if their will is where it needs to be to lift the rest of these players up. Don't be giving me Ty Jerome this and JaMychal Green that and PBJ and all of that. Look at the headliners and look at the guys that are the glue guys in addition to the headliners on a lot of these nights. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling here. Ralphie and Berkeley next on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Ralphie. Oh, Rafi. Sorry, Rafi.
Rafi.
Yeah, what's up, Rafi?
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I think that, looking at the top, to me, I think that guys at the top, they have a desire to win. And they have a desire to compete, but it's not like what it once was. And I do think that there comes to a point where the hunger and the burning desire to truly compete and put it on the line kind of goes away. And that's when you see a lot of guys retire. I mean, you got to give it to LeBron. That guy, I'm not a big LeBron fanboy, but that guy lives and dies to compete. And I just don't see that anymore. The relentlessness that it takes to compete at that level. And I think it trickles down. And I think that their culture is really hurting because I think it trickles down to the role players. And it's really what I got. It's disappointing, but I think that we're finally seeing them age. And them aging into a 6 seed or the play-in kind of sounds about right this year. And I think last year's championship was, a lot of things had to go really right for them to win. I think they were a Western Conference Finals team last year. Really. they won the championship because a lot of things went really right. And them being a 6 seed, they're older, less hungry. And I'll take your comments off the air, but I don't actually mind watching them fade out. I think it's part of sports.
Yeah, it is part of sports. And thanks for the call, Rafi. I really appreciate it. You touched on it, I think, at the end. Because I don't necessarily think it's all about hunger and all about burning desire. I think at times it has been. I also think at times they've had the hunger and they've had the burning desire. Maybe they don't quite have it as consistently as they used to have it. And maybe when they choose to go to it, to try and flip that switch at a different level, they are a little bit older and they just don't have it at that same level to make as much out of it when they do look to dig deep to find it, to get on a run in a game or something like that. And I think that's where age is a part of it. And mentioning aging into potentially being a 6 seed, it does have that feel. I mean, I think these last 3 games with Steph Curry back, by the way, the Warriors are now under 500 in games that Steph Curry has played this season by 1 game. They are 2 games over 500 when Steph Curry hasn't played. Explain that to me. And I'm not putting any of the blame on Steph, but I do think it addresses and ties together the disconnect between the championship core players and the way that they want and demand the rest of this roster to play, and a standard that I think a good chunk of the rest of the roster is unable to attain. And at that point, there's just a lack of connectivity between the two that I think shows in the communication defensively, in the inability to execute the scheme, in the way that this team wants to play offense by shooting so many threes. And Jordan Poole's got to get his offense a certain way that's different. And Klay Thompson, all of a sudden is a lot less impactful. And the numbers dictate that Klay and Jordan Poole don't play very well when they're on the floor together at the same time. And then that becomes problematic. And, Steph's going to do everything he can to try and keep the Warriors in it. And the bench pieces just haven't fit at the level. And I do think that you add it all up, and there has been a little bit of an age component as well, where there have been a lot of times this year where it's felt like, all right, it's go time, and the Warriors have sort of reached back and tried to find it, and it just hasn't been there. And I think that's been as telling as all of the other stuff that we try to look at and analyze and at times overanalyze here on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. Let's go to Armand in San Jose. What's going on, Armand?
JD, let's keep this honest. Hey, let's keep this honest, JD. This team act like they half-ass want to play together when they're on the road. When I look at them, I'm looking at the body language. We get down way too big, too early. Everybody want to avoid talking about this. I don't care about no age, because you mean to tell me you so old that the first 2 minutes you already tired? They getting down early in these games, particularly on the road. And you can't keep coming back from being down 15 points, 20 points in the first 8, 9 something minutes. You spend all that energy trying to come back, and by the time you come back, you tired? You don't have enough. But if you look at what happens, they make a critical turnover. They did it against OKC. Draymond Green tried to throw some dumb alley-oop to Jonathan Kuminga when he was covered, when we were at 80-76. They went down for a score, made it 80-78. Next thing you know, they got the lead. There are a lot of dumb things that we do. I'm not giving them no excuse with no age. There's a lot of stupid things they do. Like, for instance, Klay Thompson. The ball is going out of bounds. He did not hustle after the ball, and Dylan Brooks did. That is on Klay Thompson. Steph Curry throwing a pass inbounds to Klay Thompson not even looking, and they got another steal. They ain't got nothing to do with age. Man, they doing stupid stuff. How can we sit up here and talk about the young guys and the role players being accountable and not making mistakes when the veterans, this core 3, the championship core with all this championship DNA, that somehow all of a sudden don't know how to do nothing on the road? They are leading by example poorly. At the end of the day, this team has been playing uphill since that punch. It's always been something. They had that, then they got over it. Then they had to talk to Klay Thompson and have a coming to Jesus moment because he's shooting too much, like somebody at the Y you don't want to play with. Then there's other stuff going on. Then they got to talk to Jordan Poole. Then guys get hurt. Then they come back. Then guys get hurt. Al Wiggins is out. We don't know what's going on with him. Then Jonathan Kuminga, he's slipping and falling and scrubbing like Kevin Durant in practice. It's always something. At the end of the day, this team has had a hard time keeping its head above water all season. And the veterans are a part of it. And I think you can blame the coach. What one thing has Steve Kerr done all year that made you say, that was great for a consistent period of time? They can all get it. That goes for Joe Lacob, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and yes, people need to start blaming Steph Curry more out here. I know he's a golden boy, and everybody loves him, and he's so lovable and all this stuff, but it's time to stop. Because if this was LeBron James, everybody will be going after him. If it's James Harden, Westbrook, everybody go after him. No, it's time to start going at the top dogs on this team. Don't just go at Draymond. And, yeah, Klay Thompson needs to be called out more, too. Because when he did what he did, that was absolutely disgusting. I'm sitting up there looking at, get the ball, Klay. Why are you half-ass walking towards the ball against a rival? And you got that little, I don't want to say that, but Dylan Brooks going after it. He out-hustled you for a ball that you should have had. This is a guy you're supposed to hate. Draymond Green was just clowning him. Where was the pride? I didn't see none of that. And whenever they go on the road, I'm not seeing pride enough. I ain't blaming age. I ain't doing none of that. I'm blaming a half-ass effort, and they need to get it together. They probably won't. And even if we did get GP2 and Wiggins back, how can we guarantee it will be good enough? They have not shown us nothing all season long. We're about 68 whatever games into the season, and we still got people saying, oh, yeah, when such and such come back, we don't even know if they're coming back. And if they do, what makes you think that we're going to win? Because we had Wiggins and Steph playing, and we still wasn't winning good enough.
Thanks, Armand. Great stuff. 888-957-9570. Yeah, a lot to get to off of what Armand had to say, and that's more than fair in my book. If you want, and Klay, to me, the Klay play where he lets the ball go and Dylan Brooks grabs it and takes it the other way, that was one of the worst plays, if not the worst play of the entire night. And so, yeah, there's no doubt. And the effort hasn't consistently been there. And when you look at the veterans, I think you have to look at them first. There's no doubt about it. As far as Steve Kerr, well, he did something tonight. You asked me, well, what did Steve Kerr do well? What move has he made? He made a move tonight that didn't work, and he acknowledged post-game, and we'll play it for you as we always do, with the four-guard lineup to start the game tonight, and the Warriors going with Steph and Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Draymond Green, that he got a little too cute with that lineup, and that lineup was horrendous in the game tonight. I mean, it was brutal in that game tonight, both at the beginning of the game as the Warriors quickly got down 12 and at the end of the first half. Basically, and I'm estimating here, basically a minus 25, that group, in a game that you end up losing by 21 and you trailed by as many as 23 over those two stretches of game right off the top and to close that first half. And so the four-guard lineup didn't work. I think part of that was maybe that Kevon Looney's been a little bit banged up. He ends up only playing 19 tonight. I think part of it was trying to play your best players, the best that you could, because you're shorthanded without Kuminga. And you just, at some point, you say, you know what, I got to play my 5-6 best players and roll it out, and just hope that that's good enough against a Memphis team that's shorthanded. Didn't work tonight. And then as far as the slow starts go, I mean, 5 of the last 6 games for the Warriors as far as the slow starts go. 48-28 tonight at Memphis. That's the worst of them all. 48-28 at the end of one. Basically an even game after that. I hate it when people say that, but you do the math on it. It was really true. But you're down 20 at the end of the first quarter. You're toast. 40-30 at OKC. 33-18 into the first quarter at the Lakers. 35-21 at Chase in a game you come back and win against the Pelicans. And then the Clippers game was, I think, a 1-point game. So you throw that's the one outlier in the last 6. And then 41-27, Portland had the lead on you. So 3 times in the last 6 games, the Warriors have given up 40 or more. They give up 48 tonight. I mean, that's just abysmal. You're not going to beat anybody in the NBA giving up 40 a night in the first quarter, and that's basically what the Warriors have done here over the course of the last week plus. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. Let's get Nick in San Jose next year on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What's going on tonight, Nick?
Hey, JT, I love your encyclopedia knowledge and just your passion, but I got to tell you, man, Lake Up needs to pay Myers top dollar because Kerr ain't going to be back if Myers ain't back. They're a marriage together. I don't understand why Kerr just doesn't light into these guys during the game, including the big three, because the starts of the game are squarely on our pillar players. But with that said, I coached at the high school and community college level. If you just watch Jordan Poole play defense, he is not a winning player. He's just not a winning player. And he's talented offensively, but he doesn't fit us. He's too dribble ball dominant. I'm serious. You need to get rid of this guy. Curry throwing his mouthpiece because of Poole. Draymond punching him. Poole's in it. Clay upset with Poole. Poole's in all of this. He is not a winning player. I don't expect us to get anything more than a 7 or 8 seed. It's going to be very difficult for us. I hope Andrew Wiggins is fine, but it's completely disrespectful to the fans that we don't have an idea what's going on with him. It is just, I've never seen anything like this in sports. Time is my most precious resource. I am so disgusted with this team tonight. And you know what? I love Curry, but they're 0-3 with Curry back. I mean, what is going on, JT? I mean, can you tell me just 3 things? Don't you think we should ship Poole out? Does he really fit us? Number 2, why are we 0-3 with Steph Curry back in the game? And why in the hell don't they respect us enough to give us some sort of inclination with Andrew Wiggins? Can you please answer those 3 questions for me? I am disgusted.
Absolutely. I'll do it. I'll do it the best I can here on 95.7 The Game. And yeah, you look at the Warriors now, a game under 500 with Steph. They're 20 and 21 with Steph after going 14 and 12 in 26 games without him. And I think it's just not a cohesive group. I think Steph plays the way that he plays, and I think you have Clay able to be less free offensively, and I think Clay needs a little bit more runway to take a few more shots that he just wants to take, and needs a little more runway to play poorly or shoot it poorly and know that he's going to get more attempts to try and level it out. I think he kind of needs that. The Clay with Poole lineups have been a disaster both ways. Poole plays fine with Steph. Poole plays fine with Clay. Poole plays fine, when he's on the floor without either one of them. But when it's him and Clay on the floor together, it's a big time problem. As far as Wiggins, I mean, look, it's a personal issue. I do think we're going to find out what's going on at the point at which he comes back. I know a week ago Bob Myers was on 95.7 The Game, and Guru had asked him, is this something where you think he's out for the rest of the year? And Bob very frankly said he didn't think this is something where he's out for the rest of the year. But the clock is ticking. You want to be respectful as far as a personal situation goes, because nobody knows what type of issue it is. And so I'm always going to lean toward being respectful to the person in that regard. And so I do think something will either leak out or there will be a report as to what it was at some point. But the Warriors have been as private about that as they've been about any situation that's happened with regard to them since I've covered the team, which goes all the way back to 2011, 2012. And as far as Poole, I do think the Warriors in the offseason are going to look to move him, or they're going to have to come up with some complementary players, some defensive complementary players that can be on the floor to allow him to be hidden. And I think they had that last year to a greater extent than they do this year with GP2 and others. There were some different combinations that they could put on the floor, and it was okay to where he could be a defensive liability and it wasn't going to completely wreck the game for you. There's just too many combinations this year without enough quality defenders. I mean, that is part of the problem. And it's not to absolve Poole, who's been terrible defensively, but this team does not have enough good defensive players. Klay Thompson's not the defensive player he used to be. Steph is a little bit banged up and concerned with his offense. I think he's probably, among Steph and Klay and Poole, Steph's the best one of the three, at this point. Wiggins hasn't either been around or been himself defensively, and then you don't have a Gary Payton II among others that can help this team defensively. So I think when you look at it, it's just, this team not quite having the pieces that fit together the best way they possibly can. And I think that's also part of why they haven't been good with Curry, good enough with Curry this season. And 14-12 without Curry, 20-21 with Curry. And again, I'm not putting it on Curry, but it's the way that they play and the way that this roster is built. I've said it. I think the Warriors roster was built in many ways better this season than it's been in recent memory to withstand the loss of Steph Curry over a certain period of time in a season. But I think it's also maybe one of the poorer constructed rosters as far as everything that you need to have around Steph Curry to be able to maximize the team that you have. Also an aging team that wanted to be able to coast a little bit, and with some younger players that probably aren't quite at the level where they could contribute as much as you believed as a franchise that they would be able to contribute at the beginning of the season, because I think that is where this whole thing went haywire. The Warriors truly believed they had young players that could be rotation players, and Wiseman and Moody in the first 10 games showed that they couldn't be. And Kuminga, frankly, did as well, but then Kuminga worked his way back in over the course of the season to where in a more limited role, he could, on certain nights, expand that role outward. But this roster was just not quite constructed as adeptly as it was a year ago. I think that's JD. No kidding. But I do think it's something that shouldn't go unpointed out as we try and dissect, why this team is where they are. And look, there's no one answer. There's a bunch of different answers as to why this team is where they are at this point in the season now, with 15 games to go and tied for sixth, and lucky to be tied for sixth. I was doing some number crunching the other night after the Oklahoma City game, and I was just looking at the difference between the 2 seed this year. So Memphis currently is the 2 seed, 39-26. The Kings are right on their heels. The 2 seed this year would be the 7th seed last year. The Grizzlies and the Kings basically are the same team as the Timberwolves from last year, who were the 7th seed and were in the play-in tournament. But because everybody else is so much worse, that's allowed that record that would have been the 7th seed last year to be the 2 seed this year. The Warriors wouldn't be the Warriors would be 10th right now and clinging to 10th and hoping they could be 10th. The last team in the play-in tournament to win a couple of road games, which, by the way, they probably wouldn't be able to do when you look at their overall road record. So they're lucky in a big way, the Warriors are, that they're one game over 500, and that their one game over 500 is still in a position where if they can somehow cobble this thing together, as bleak as it looks right now and as bleak as it's looked every time they've been on the road, that they still can be, I think, as high as 5th when it's all said and done. I mean, that's not off the table as much as it looks extremely unlikely with the way things are going right now. All right, 888-957-9570. We got full phone lines. It's John Dickinson here. Warriors wrap up a 95-7 the game. Let's pause here for our top of the hour ID, and then we'll get right back to the phones. We'll keep it rolling commercial free here on 95-7 the game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app.
All right, appreciate that from Steve Kerr. It is 8 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game. Grizzlies 131, Warriors 110. As the Warriors now fall to 34-33. They're tied for 6th with Minnesota and Dallas in the Western Conference playoff race. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling here on 95.7 The Game. Let's get to Al in Alameda next. What's going on, Al?
Hey, JD, thank you for taking my call. Hey, listen, I know a lot of upset fans out there about the last 3 games here, trying to kind of leaning to Curry, all that, 0-3 comeback. But let's put it this way. When we won 5 in a row, we were not crying this loud, okay? I know Curry, he's doing his things, but something is not clicking properly there. Okay, I know it's kind of throwing the chemistry there with him in there, no defense. And also, you got to remember, putting Iguodala there, it slows down again. I was watching him most of the time. This guy cannot run anymore. He's holding his shorts. After he went back and forth, I see him in the free throw line. He's just holding his shorts like he's gasping. He cannot play anymore. I'm serious. He needs not to play over there anymore. Okay, and second, Memphis had 5 air ball. Out of those 5 air ball shots they did, we didn't even get 1 rebound out of those. 1 rebound. They all got those 5 air ball. What's the rebounder? And our defense really, really, really slacking right now. That's the bottom line. It's our defense. We know how to come back. We did it so many times now. And tonight we did it 2 times again, down by 20 and down by 12. We came back, and then we lose it. It's a defense. Yeah, I remember we used to do that back then. We'll come back and just clamp. We're just missing 2 pieces. Maybe GP2 when he comes back, and Wiggins back in there. I kind of miss Otto Porter. Okay, somebody got to take his spot there. The Lamb. We need Lamb somehow. We need that big body down
Thanks,
below.
Al. You know what? I'm going to jump in on that. We got Warrior fans clamoring for Anthony Lamb now on Warriors wrap-up. And, yeah, to be perfectly honest, I think the Warriors have missed Anthony Lamb the last 2 games, especially tonight when Kuminga is unable to play. And Warrior fans that wanted a heavy dose of Patrick Baldwin Jr., 2 of 8, 1 of 6 from 3, got pushed around on the boards tonight. And so tonight was just, and I like Patrick Baldwin as much as anybody. I think he can shoot it, and there are some nights where I think he could probably contribute to this Warriors team. But Patrick Baldwin Jr. showed you, and I think he showed you a little bit more the more time he's gotten, that you know what, he ain't quite ready yet, and that's okay because he's in his rookie season and he was a draft pick in the 20s, and most draft picks in the 20s in their rookie season aren't able to contribute. So I'm not crushing Patrick Baldwin Jr. as much as I'm crushing the fans that think he should be out there and playing regular minutes on a night-in, night-out basis. Let's get to the Andre Iguodala rat on the table. This team's not good enough for Andre Iguodala to play 15, 17 minutes and be a +4 and have him be 0 for 3 with a couple assists and a couple turnovers, and like this team's just not talented enough for the 2018 Iguodala. Didn't really do much, but you look up and they were a +4 when he was out there tonight. And yeah, I'm with you. I think he was gassed. He was gassed. I think the first run he went up the floor on Sunday afternoon down in Los Angeles, and so. Iguodala is the kind of guy that I think at this point, he's not helping this team as they're currently constituted. Can Iguodala help the Warriors when Steph and Clay and Wiggins and Draymond and Looney are all starting and Poole and DiVincenzo are coming off the bench? And, can he help at that point? Can he help when Gary Payton II is the 8th man and maybe Iguodala's the 9th man and maybe Kuminga's the 10th? Yeah, Iguodala ain't helping anybody unless the other 7-8 players on the roster ahead of him are all playing and all in their proper spots. Like, Iguodala ain't elevating a mediocre squad playing without multiple rotation players in front of him on the depth chart. That's just the reality of Andre Iguodala at this stage. And I you know what? Warrior fans who want to be frustrated about Andre Iguodala and him basically being a nothing for this team this season, I got no problem with that one. And you know what? The Warriors, they got exactly what they've asked for from Andre Iguodala this year. And maybe they wind up getting the last laugh on it. Maybe they wind up with him being a contributing factor in a playoff run. And at that point, I'll say, you know what? I got it wrong and you got it right. But the truth of the situation as it relates to Iguodala now is the rest of this team isn't good enough for him to come in and do what he does and have it be impactful. The guy looks like he can't make a three. He looks gassed. And, yeah, he can still move the basketball. He can still come up with a gutsy, high IQ steal here and there. But none of that holds up if the rest of this team isn't put together and playing at a much higher level. Miles in the Marina next on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What's up, Miles?
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. You kind of took a little bit of my thunder there with Andre Iguodala, but aside from that, I think there's a lack of accountability that Steve Kerr is holding these guys to for the carelessness of the turnovers. Steph Curry and Jordan Poole drive me crazy with careless passes, dribbling it off their foot, throwing it to Wayne Clay's turning around and running down the court. And, that's 6 or 8 turnovers each game. It wasn't just tonight. And then, of course, Steve Kerr likes to say, we play with a certain element of, looseness or, happy-go-lucky a little bit. But it's too much of that. It's gone too far by the wayside with that. And the lack of accountability, they think they can just, throw careless passes left and right, and it kills us. So I'd like to see Steve Kerr do more on that. And in closing, JD, I know you're a baseball guy. The Giants held on to their studs for too long, and it really bit them down the line. And I see a parallel with holding on to the core for the Warriors past its prime. So thank you so much, JD.
Yeah, appreciate it. I do think it's fair on the last note to keep your older players together for the year after you win the championship. And I get where you're coming from, but they won last year. It hasn't even been hadn't even been 9 months quite yet on the calendar. And so I think I hear you on that, but they won last year. So and it doesn't look like they're going to win it this year, obviously. And if they don't ultimately win it this year, then I think it's absolutely a fair question to assess, all right, can this core group do it again? Do you have to look to make some moves and change it up? I saw Tim Kawakami, the Athletic, tweet something tonight, I think responding to one of his followers that said something about trading Jordan Poole. And I know we had a caller earlier I addressed about Jordan Poole, and I think the Warriors could look to move him. I mean, Tim had said, hey, Warriors don't win the title. Anybody and everybody could potentially be expendable and or on the market, except for Curry. And I think that isn't that crazy to think. I mean, Draymond, what does he opt out? If he doesn't opt out, do the Warriors trade him? Do the Warriors agree to I'm going to opt in, and then you're going to trade somewhere else, and then maybe he gets an extension somewhere else? Do they look to trade Jordan Poole now that Jordan Poole is going to be a $30 million player and you're able to get a players making that salary back? Would they dare do something with Klay Thompson? I don't think they would, but how this season ends over the last 15 games plus play-in tournament and or playoffs is going to go a long way toward determining that. As far as what Miles brought up on the lack of accountability, there is I think an accountability vacuum for the Warriors with turnovers because of the style of play and because they've been able to also play so well that they could withstand a lot of the turnovers. And I think because over the years the turnovers were part of their style and their style is what made them great, there was never really a true accountability for the turnovers. And now the same types of turnovers pop up frequently, but now this team just isn't good enough to go on these incredible, amazing, dominant runs to where we all kind of laugh at the turnovers, and the turnovers become a small little subhead in the storyline of an individual night or a couple of games. Now the Warriors have 3-4 turnovers in a row, and they lose a game because of it. In the past, the Warriors would have 3 or 4 turnovers in a row, and then they'd go on a 30-5 run at some point, and they'd win the game going away in the final 4 minutes, and we'd all be talking about how they dominated and came back and won the game in the final 4 minutes, and it would be, oh, yeah, you know what, they got to work on their turnovers. But so it just becomes kind of an afterthought, and I think that, in large part, created an accountability vacuum for this team to where it's almost too far gone to correct with this current group because so many parts of this current group were here when it didn't matter and they could just overcome it because they were more talented than a lot of these other teams on a night in, night out basis. 888-957-9570. All right, let's get to the secret sauce of the game before we get back to the phones. Chris, Adrian, Charlie, I'm coming for you here in just a second. We're going commercial free all the way up until 8:30 here on Warriors Wrap Up. But the secret sauce of the game, why did the Warriors win or lose? What was the deciding factor? And tonight's secret sauce, point blank, bottom line, first quarter. You get beat tonight because you give up 48 points in the first quarter to a Memphis team playing without multiple starters. It just flat out cannot happen. The Grizzlies come out hot early. They go for 48 points. They're knocking down threes. The Warriors on the road have been allowing opponents to shoot over 40% from three for the season. And the Warriors got smoked flat out. Highest scoring first quarter for the Grizzlies this season. The four-guard lineup didn't work. I thought the Warriors were trying to come up with playing five of their best six players right off the top, trying to get the pace of the game going, use the Grizzlies' size against them. It didn't work. Grizzlies started 5 of 6 from three. It was 21-8 before the chairs were warm inside FedEx Forum. And, 10-2, 13-4, 18-6, 21-8. The Warriors down 48-28 at the end of the first quarter, and it was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. And the secret sauce tonight is a simple one. You can't give up 48. The Warriors have given up 40 or more in the last 3 of the last 6 first quarters. That's the secret sauce of the game, brought to you by Proposition Chicken, fried, flipped, fake. This chicken goes 3 ways, now available in 8 Bay Area locations, with the newest one being in Novato. That your secret sauce of the game for tonight. 888-957-9570. Let's get back to the phones, and that is Adrian in Danville next on Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Adrian?
Hi, Adrian. Well, hey, how you doing? I just really frustrated at the game tonight, and I just, it doesn't Curry makes, stupid mistakes, play. I mean, they all just not, think, I don't know what's wrong. And then, the coach also is, he's making not very good decisions also. And I don't really have very much faith in them going forward. The only thing I hope is that Kuminga and, what's his name? Wiggins and JP come back, and maybe they will have a chance. But right now, they're just way out of sync.
Yep, no doubt. They are out of sync. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate the call. At some point, they got to get healthy, but, getting healthy isn't going to save it either. I saw friend Mark Willard tweeted out, the Warriors have become the you don't want to play team as opposed to a team that is a more legitimate threat. And I'm not quite there yet as far as them being nothing more than a you don't want to play team. I still think, given the fact that they are where they are, if they can get on some kind of a run at the end here, even though it doesn't look like it with 8 road games to go. I mean, what's the best case scenario for the Warriors on the road here over the last 8 games? 2-6, 1-7. I mean, what is the best case scenario for the Warriors? And if you're only going to win one more road game and you've got 7 home, you're going to go 5-2 and then 2-6. A home road split the rest of the way. Well, if you go 5-2 and 2-6, at this point you're 41-41. I mean that gets you to 41-41, and 41-41 is, who knows where that is. That might put you anywhere between 7 and 10 at that point. 888-957-9570. Chris in Oakland next here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Chris?
JD, what's up, man? Yeah, you have brought up, I wanted to talk about the upcoming schedule. I believe they got 11 games. Correct me if I'm wrong. 6 of them are at home. 5 of them are away. And yeah, losing to Memphis any day it sucks. So I get the frustration. And the slow starts the last few games. I mean, giving up 41, and then they gave up 40 the last game in the first, and I believe to the Lakers they gave up like 33. These slow starts are killing us, and that margin of error is basically little to nothing. The good thing is that they're coming back home. Now they're coming back home, and they're playing against Milwaukee and Phoenix next. KD's out. Hopefully we get the next 1 or 2. I think we'll be in good shape as long as we finish 500 or one game over 500. I think we're a shoo-in for that 6th spot, and then see how the cards play out from there, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, I don't know about a shoo-in, but as you look at it, the Dallas game that the Warriors play in Dallas coming up here, it's 2 weeks from last night on the 22nd. That's on the 5-game road trip. The next 2 are at Chase, but yeah, you're playing Phoenix, who's not going to have Kevin Durant, by the way. Kevin Durant with the ankle slip, he rolled his ankle, slipped during the warm-up, and it broke right at the start of the Warriors game. Durant is going to miss the next 2 weeks at least. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So the Suns have gotten on a roll. They've won 4 in a row, including their first 3 with Durant, and he was set to make his home debut last night for the Suns against Oklahoma City, and he ended up not playing in that game. They evaluated him today, and today the announcement was Durant will be out for the next 2 weeks. So the Warriors will miss Durant when the Suns come in on Monday. The Bucks are in Chase for an ABC Saturday Night Showcase game on Saturday, and that, again, you're back home, and the Warriors have been awesome at home this year and 27-7, but you're playing 2 of the best and hottest teams in the NBA at this point. I mean, you've got the Bucks, who have won 18 of the last 19, and you've got the Suns, who are winners of 4 in a row, and they've been playing really well, really for about a month or a month and a half before they even made the trade to get Durant. They were starting to get on a little bit of a roll. So 2 of the more difficult home games you have left on the schedule. I don't know about a shoe-in for 6th. I will say that. The Warriors do, thankfully for them, as you look at the tiebreaker over Minnesota, and it's 6-7 right now with the Warriors 6 and Timberwolves 7. The Warriors have taken 2 out of 3 against Minnesota. They won early in the year in a Sunday afternoon game that nobody was paying attention to because the 49ers were playing, and they won that game, and I think they put 47 on the board in the first quarter of that game in Minnesota. And that's the difference right now in the tiebreaker is that game and the game that the Warriors won last week and come from behind fashion. So and they play the Timberwolves again at Chase at the end of March. And so the Warriors have a shot to get that, which would help them. They go to Dallas, and the Warriors only played Dallas 3 times this year, and they have split the first 2. The third game's in Dallas. So that's a huge game. That game will determine the tiebreaker between the Warriors and the Mavs if they wind up tied, and it's a road game. So that not looking quite as good, although Luka Doncic is banged up now and going to be out for a stretch. And so, yeah, shoe-in, I don't know about that. And now, by the way, you got the Lakers lurking without LeBron James, a game and a half behind the Warriors. The Pelicans still a game and a half behind the Warriors. Warriors play the Pelicans one more time. They're done with the Lakers but don't have the tiebreaker. They play the Pelicans one more time in Chase, and that season series is a 2-1 Pelicans advantage. The Warriors would need to win the finale, and then the conference record is pretty tight there as far as what the tiebreaker would be, assuming those teams split. But the Pelicans without Zion appear to, at least at this point, be a little bit less of a threat. 888-957-9570. Let's get to the hardest working player of the game. The hardest working player of the game is brought to you by AC Transit.
Brooks pogoing for 3. Missed it. Curry hustles to the rebound. Right in front of the Grizzly bench. Takes it across midcourt. Curry waiting. Left-hand dribble drive. Goes all the way and gets to the right side and scores!
Boy, he can find a little crease, can't he?
My goodness. He went by 3 defenders on the same play.
Yeah, Tim and Jim on the call, Tim Roy and Jim Barnett. It's hard to find a Warriors player that played well tonight other than Steph Curry. I think you could make a case for Draymond, although he had 5 turnovers. But no, it's Steph Curry trying to keep the Warriors in it. And there were a couple of times in this game where it looked like, hey, the Warriors are down 7. They got action in this game. And there were just not enough defensive stops, poor turnover, some bad shot. The same things that have done the Warriors in all year long. But, yeah, Steph, really, as you look at the box score, he's the one guy that came close to keeping the Warriors afloat in this one. He is your hardest worker of the game, which is brought to you by AC Transit. AC Transit, looking for hard workers and offering a $2,000 bonus for new bus operators and journey-level mechanics to join their team. For more complete details and to apply, visit actransit.org/careers. That's actransit.org/careers. John Dickinson here on Warriors Wrap-Up of 95.7 The Game. Grizzlies beat the Dubs 131-110 as Draymond Green downplaying the Grizzlies' rivalry post-game a little bit. You had Dylan Brooks getting the jump on Draymond as far as answering back, trying to potentially clap back tonight against Draymond, although it was a pedestrian effort, I think, by Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks saying, you should give the mic to Draymond, make him keep talking about me so I can play better, keep doing his podcast, keep blogging, keep doing his thing off the court. It's cute. It's fun. You could tell Dylan Brooks didn't really put a lot of time in thinking about how he wanted to respond to that. But, yeah, Grizzlies and Warriors going toe-to-toe. Obviously, the Grizzlies have that chip on their shoulder against the Warriors. The Warriors have to ramp it up and find it against them. And kind of an eye roll, really, for me both ways tonight. I mean, if you're the Warriors, you obviously have the championship clout, and the Grizzlies have not done anything close to the level the Warriors have been on, so I get it if it's an eye roll on the Warriors side of things as to the Grizzlies running their mouth, especially with their franchise currently in shambles at the tune that it is, with John Morant and everything going on there. But at the same time, the Warriors right now are a shadow of their prior selves, so you know what? Keep your mouth shut and fight on to the next play, onward and upward, and try to earn a spot worthy of a defending champion. And they have just not been able to do that with how poorly they've played on the road. All right, couple of calls here before we call it a night. We got Charlie. We got a couple of Charlies here to finish the job on Warriors Wrap-Up as we go 1 full hour commercial-free here on 95.7 The Game. Charlie in San Francisco is the first of the two Charlies, but Charlie in New York, you're coming up next. What do you got, Charlie?
Hello?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I just wanted to say, you know what I'm saying, I understand why everybody's frustrated. We just got to calm down, just calm down. We got 4 championships. They go out of 4 championships. So, and then I keep hearing trade Jordan Poole. He's only 23 years old. Let him grow because he is capable of winning the championship. We've seen that last year. And that's all I want to say. I just want to say, y'all calm down, man. Have faith in our team. If we don't win it this year, next year we will win it because they're going to surround us with a better core. A better team surrounding our, like what we had last year, more veterans and leadership.
All right, Charlie, thanks for the call, man. Charlie telling everybody to calm it down. And look, yeah, you can't – this year doesn't take anything away from anything that the Warriors have accomplished. It just means that this year this team isn't quite good enough, and it looks as if this team is not going to be quite good enough this year. But they still are, luckily for them, in a position where they – can make a run at the end and change the conversation completely, but it's going to take a better performance on the road. All right, Charlie in New York City is going to get the final word here tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, it was just in a nutshell. You
Oh, Charlie. Charlie. All right, Charlie. We got to let you go, brother. Got disconnected there. Choppy connection. Charlie, we'll catch up with you tomorrow or maybe on Saturday on Warriors This Week here on 95.7 The Game. Tremendous participation tonight. Really grateful for everyone on the Xfinity Mobile text line, on the phone lines. We had lit phone lines for the last hour. It was great. A lot of passionate Warrior fans reacting to this one as the Dubs fall to the Grizzlies. and dipped now to 34-33. That'll do it for tonight. Thanks to Sterling Bennett and everybody in our San Francisco studios. I'm John Dickinson. I will be back with you tomorrow. I'm going to be filling in for Guru on Steiny and Guru from 12 until 3. So join me with Steiny at 12. We'll be talking about the Warriors with obviously the 15 games to go, and then Warriors this week is back on Saturday. Join me and Whitey Gleason 10-1 here on 95.7 The Game Saturday, and then Warriors Live for the Warriors and the Bucks coming up at 4:30 from Chase Saturday afternoon. Warriors and the Bucks here, battle of the last two champions in the NBA over the last 2 years. Should be a good one, and the Warriors are back at home where they have played much better basketball. Fox Sports Radio is coming your way next. Keep it locked right here in your home for Warriors basketball as the Dubs get beat by the Grizzlies 131-110, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Get ready, because Scott's is taking over daylight saving time. It's such a big event that we're calling it day-long saving time. And now it's got real savings. In fact, it's the biggest deals of the year. Audacious? Absolutely. So don't wait. Stock up early and you'll be able to save up to $20 on Scott's Triple Action and Easy Seed products today at the Home Depot and Lowe's. Offers available March 9th through 22nd at select U.S. stores while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See store for exact offers.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk. I would sleep upright with more pillows. But that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español.
Gracias, Babbel.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. Just go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Championship in Greensboro, whether it's Wake Forest is paying for all their players, all these things. This Boeheim's the guy saying this, right? That's a rock star head coach at college. When people know who you are in college basketball because of what you say, and hey,
a rock star head coach is not 10-10 in conference for 10 straight years. That's not a rock star.
That's an actual stat.
That's it. Listen, they haven't played well, but it doesn't diminish his accomplishments and his stature.
No, it does not. He's had a superb career, and he's a local legend and always will be. I mean that, always. But to say in 2023 he's the national rock star is ridiculous.
National rock star. National rock star.
Okay, this is from the same voice who's talking about the Jets winning the Super Bowl this year.
Listen, Guns N' Roses is from Indiana. They're not an Indiana band, and everybody knows, the whole world knows Guns N' Roses.
Because they're actually good.
Indiana. Not just Indiana. Not just Frostberg. Your college has. I don't even think your college has athletics.
This has nothing to do with me.
I don't think
this isn't personal. We're just telling you that the guy you bow down to is not as good as you think he is.
Boeheim's no good. The Jets are no good. The Mets are no good. The Knicks are no good. You got to have something
different. What's the Knicks score? Steve, what's the score?
Yeah, well,
we'll
that's
still down 14, so they're not very good.
I'm just saying when you go 18-14 or even 20-14, you get 6 absolute gimme wins at the beginning of the season. So you're a 500 club, including the 10-10 in conference, which is pretty much every year for the last decade for Syracuse.
Okay, first of all, we're not going to what's trending till the Knicks make the game closer. Number 2,
well, we're never going to trending.
It does. How many teams have 2 Final Fours in the last 10 years? How many? We have 2.
Yeah, okay.
We have 2. Go back the last 10 years. How many teams have been to 2 Final Fours?
You a rock star.
That's pretty good,
So
man.
when the Marlins won 2 World Series, they were the rock stars of Major League Baseball.
Well, how many years apart? Well, it was 7 years apart for them.
Yeah,
right?
It's 2 and 10 years. The Marlins
right?
were not the rock stars at any point in their history
because
of Major
there were
League
other
Baseball.
bigger rock stars because baseball was a bigger sport that was much bigger, that had more stars in it. College basketball doesn't have that many stars, Steve. That's my point. It's not that Boeheim is as far and above the madding crowd of, hey, there's all these huge guys coast to coast everybody knows. There's guys nobody knows. There's guys nobody knows. No one. Hey, Gonzaga, Mark Few, I think now is the second highest, most tenured coach or third most higher tenured coach behind Tom Izzo. Nobody knows him. Nobody knows what he does. Oh, it's Mark Few, Gonzaga head coach. Mark Few, that's great. Yeah.
Huggins is more of a rock star than Boeheim.
Nobody. Come on, he hasn't made news in like 10 years. Bob Huggins, come on.
Bill Self.
This is a sport.
Hall of Fame.
Come on. Well,
Patino.
Bill Self. Yeah, Patino's coaching Iona.
He's still a bigger rock star.
He's coaching Iona. I don't even think they play in a gym. I think they play on the. I think they play on the. I think they play in the street. No. You know? Come on.
The blacktop, really?
Hey, big crowd here at the schoolyard today, and it literally is the schoolyard.
And everybody's standing, waiting for sixth period.
The bake sale will be after school. Then, now that Iona has a game, everybody wave hi to Rick Pitino. Is coming on here coaching the.
We should
game
go
for the
trending
Gales.
for a Knicks score.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I tried to make this go as long as I could. It's not getting better for the Knicks, so Steve, go ahead. What's trending?
Well, Julius Randle's still on the floor, so we got good news. The rest of it's not
lying on the floor. He's
not
playing.
so much. Yeah, standing, like walking, playing.
All right,
yeah.
good.
But the
He's
Knicks
standing, walking, and playing. That's good.
The Knicks say Jalen Brunson with a sore left foot will not return to tonight's game, and the Knicks are still down double digits at Sacramento mid-third quarter.
Double digits out.
Kings 83-67 in the lead. Sacramento's been shooting well all night. They're at 61% from the floor right now. Now, to start the night, Sacramento was tied for second in the West with Memphis, which had lost 3 in a row. Memphis beat Golden State 131-110. The Golden State Warriors overall 34-33 because their road record is still wretched. Golden State 7-26 on the road. Milwaukee overall 48-18. The Bucks edged Brooklyn 118-113, even though Giannis Antetokounmpo was out this time with a sore hand. Indiana won in overtime. Utah won to end a 4-game losing streak. And Charlotte sent Detroit to its 10th straight loss. Among the 11 NHL games, Dallas a 10-4 winner at Buffalo. Vegas won in overtime at Tampa Bay. New Jersey won again, a shootout victory at Washington. Edmonton upset Boston 3-2. New Yankees pitcher Carlos Rodon will start the season on the injured list with a strained forearm. He's just beginning a 6-year contract. The Marlins, former rock star of the MLB, signed veteran first baseman
That's a long time ago. That's a long time ago.
And in college basketball, Big 12 has been deep all year. They have a quarterfinal with 2 ranked teams going on right now. Under 6 minutes to go, TCU leads Kansas State